I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this episode, Jimmy.
Really?
Well, not that it wasn't good, but I'm at sort of in at the crossroads of dilemma on was that the best spot to end season 1?
I think yes, in the sense that season 1 is kind of a prologue to all of this, right?
Right.
I definitely agree in the fact that I think episode 8 was like the highest point of the season for me, without a doubt. But I still loved episode 9, and I actually liked 10 even more than 9. So, and a lot of the thematic stuff that Viserys talked about earlier in the season really comes to pass here. And now we see like the season opens with Rhaenyra's face, and then it also ends with her face, which is really, really symbolic and cool. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it, knowing that the bigger fireworks are here to come. And I think this also separates it a little bit from the fact that obviously it's a Game of Thrones show, it's a Westeros show, but it's not Game of Thrones. We aren't getting that big climax in 9 and then the fallout in 10. I mean, we kind of do, but there was even a more, in my opinion, oh shit moment here in episode 10. I like that. I like that it's kind of distinguishing itself away. I think you can make an argument then that maybe it should have its own intro instead of reusing the Game of Thrones one. Then maybe.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah. But no, I like where we ended. I thought the final shot of her face, in kind of like what I said, the dance has
We're going
begun.
to war.
We're going to war.
Yeah, just interesting. And we'll try to keep it, and please keep it in the chat. We will stay spoiler free because people are blasting us even more over on the reviews. But I guess I'll just say, season 2, episode 1 is going to be bonkers. So prepare yourself for that. And I actually have I wanted to pull up this. Let me share this right here, and this is from Fire and Blood, although I actually was reading World of Ice and Fire, and it's exactly the same. There we go, just so you get that. Hopefully you can read it. It's kind of fuzzy on mine, but so this is from Fire and Blood, and I want to read the Rhaenyra birth scene and how it is presented there. So it says, on Dragonstone, no cheers were heard. Instead, screams echoed through the halls and stairwells of Sea Dragon Tower, down from the queen's apartments, where Rhaenyra Targaryen strained and shuddered in her 3rd day of labor. The child had not been due for another turn of the moon, but the tidings from King's Landing had driven the princess into a black fury, and her rage seemed to bring on the birth, as if the babe inside her were angry too and fighting to get out. The princess shrieked curses all through her labor, calling down for the wrath of the gods upon her half-brother and their mother, the queen, and detailing the torment she would inflict upon them before she would let them die. She cursed the child inside her too. Mushroom tells us, and I remember, both of the text from Fire and Blood is told through us from 2 different sources. Mushroom, a court jester, and a maester. She cursed the child inside her too, Mushroom tells us, clawing at her swollen belly as Maester Grandies and her midwives tried to restrain her, and her shouting, "Monster, monster, get out, get out." When the babe at last came forth, she proved indeed a monster, a stillborn girl, twisted and malformed, with the hole in her chest where her heart should have been, and a stubby scaled tail. Or so Mushroom describes her. The dwarf tells us that it was he who carried the little thing to the yard for burning. The dead girl had been named Visenya, Princess Rhaenyra announced the next day. With milk of the poppy had blunted the edge of her pain. She was my only daughter, and they killed her. They stole my crown and murdered my daughter for it, and they shall answer for it. So, we've been talking for the past few weeks about like differences for people who haven't read the books. And so I thought I'd pull that up because it does go down that way. And this was a scene that I sort of knew, I knew was coming. It was actually way more intense than I thought, like way more intense than I thought, but it's actually in a way kind of toned down from the book.
Yeah, definitely a different tone to the scene, right?
Yeah.
And I think it affects Daemon and Rhaenyra in different ways. I thought that was probably the most disturbing scene we've seen this season.
Oh, by far. I would say even more tough than episode 1's birth scene.
Yes, which it is interesting, obviously, Rhaenyra lost her mother, right? She lost her mother and a brother that day in the first episode. And then in this one, we see her lose two babes, unfortunately. So it's an interesting parallel to draw there. But yeah, that scene was brutal. I could not believe some of the shots we were getting. I was just like, okie dokie. really rough stuff. I'm sure that's going to probably resonate with a lot of people and really hit home for many viewers.
I told Teresa because she had a lot of trouble with the first birth, right?
Yeah.
Scene, and then gosh, there was another birth scene this season.
There were a few.
God, Rhaenyra's
Lena.
other one. No, well, Rhaenyra's one where she has to carry the baby like right after she has it, and she was like, "Is this gonna be bad?" And I was like, "This one I watched because I'd watched the episode before. I was like, this one isn't as bad. This one I was like, you have to skip the first 15 minutes."
Yeah, and then you have Lena,
watch
obviously,
it.
couldn't deliver,
Right.
and then, not getting the C-section. So, I mean, and I know a lot of people are like, really another birth, but like, you have to, this is a secession royalty tale. I mean, this is what they were doing. They were popping out kids and messing up everything as they muddied up the lines, right?
Yeah. So I mean, what do you think about the finale? Because I think maybe I'm still processing it where I'm like, I really liked it, but I'm just like, it's kind of a tough. I think it's just a tough spot to end it because everything that's going to happen, in season 2 and going forward is technically even like the next sort of chapter of Fire and Blood, as well as, in the World of Ice and Fire in the books. Just did it. I don't know. It's just like this season has been so like big and powerful that I felt maybe a little underwhelmed by like just the final shot there.
Interesting. I actually really loved it. I liked where they ended. And this is always fun because me and Matt like don't talk while the episode's on. Like we literally just get on here and go live. So I never know.
Right.
Like we never know how we're gonna each react. I think I'm a bit higher on it than you are. This is kind of what I thought. This is kind of where I thought it would end up. And obviously the episode had leaked prior. So I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the leaked episode, but I did read, the changes or at least the more details that we were getting from this episode that we know about in Fire and Blood. So I don't know. I thought the final scene was really powerful considering the fact that the first shot of the show is, Rhaenyra's face, or maybe it's the final shot of the first episode. But I remember that Millie Alcock shot.
Right.
And I don't know, it really resonated with me. And to know that Rhaenyra was trying to go into this level-headed and for better or for worse, and then for this to happen, it was the final straw kind of deal. So,
yeah. A question here: when is season 2 coming out? Which is we will
not soon enough.
We'll definitely touch on that. Yeah. Unfortunately, over at Warner Brothers, so many things just seem to be take a very long time. Yeah, it looks like probably 2024 is what I would expect. Is how long we will be waiting. But